Welcome to my presentation. I'm Karen Chandrani from GDCP Graphic Design, and this presentation is about my exploration with the significance of several practitioners' works in the development of my ideas for the projects in Global Context module. Project 1 was about global archiving. My archives were mostly filled with movies because I spent a huge amount of time watching movies with my dad since early childhood. I remember watching Lord of the Rings almost every night with him, and that was the beginning of my exploration with movies and TV shows. I will be talking about three practitioners, and the first two practitioners are from the movies I have watched. They are the directors of 2010 Alice in Wonderland and the industrial designer of Tron Legacy. These two movies were major during the beginning of my middle school, and I would love to share their significances that hooked me in while I was watching them. The first practitioner is Tim Burton. He is well known for having his own style, surrounding the Gothic aesthetic, which can be seen from many of his movies. Dark elements are reflected through character designs and even the details of every object and buildings in his movies. I really liked the 2010s Alice because it was telling the story of young adult version of Alice. The story was a continuation to the 1951's Alice in Wonderland, and Tim Burton clearly showed the differences in his version through his gothic aesthetic and darker interpretations, which I think was a brilliant way to cooperate his style to really build this movie as the previous colorful, childlike aesthetic would probably not interpret the story of young adult Alice very well. However, even with his dark aesthetic, he still used many colors in the movie, but he combined these colors with gray tones that turn out beautifully gothic while still sticking true to Alice in Wonderland's original colorful theme. The second practitioner is Sid Mead. He was the concept designer in the 1981's Tron movie, but most of his works were brought up again in the 2010s version of Tron Legacy. When I watched Tron, I was easily captivated by the world and the futuristic settings. This might be because everything, even the little details, looks so different and cool. Therefore, when I found he was the designer who created all of these objects, I was delighted. Sid was also the creator of the Tron typeface. It became the logo of the movie and default typeface inside the game as well. One example of Sid's design in Tron Legacy is the design of the motorcycles. It was originally created for the 1981's version, but didn't appear in the movie. So this design was finally featured in Tron Legacy. From his sketches, I could tell that he was trying to show the idea of a system in his design by the use of straight lines, geometric shapes. And then I realized perhaps the reason this movie was so embedded in my memory because how they presented the visuals, like how the blue is contrasting so well on the black, it became one of the trademarks of Tron Legacy for me. While searching about Sid's works inside the Tron franchise, I fell in love with his other works. He is known to be a visual futurist as he always produced works that has never been seen before. To me personally, by looking at his designs, especially his city designs, I was instantly brought to an unknown future, and I think that's the magic behind his works. This captivating energy also reflected in other movies he designed, such as Blade Runner, Aliens, and Star Trek. The third practitioner is an illustrator and graphic designer that inspired my project 2 for this module, as I think that most of Indonesia's graphic works are modernized today. I wanted to look what kind of design that reflects Indonesia properly. I stumbled upon his collection of vintage labels and stickers. Rahmat's collection exposed me to Indonesia vernacular's visuals, and that sparked several ideas on the possible direction for Project 2. He thinks that Indonesian vernacular graphics are often forgotten, overlooked, and underestimated because the assumptions of them being lowbrow and kitsky. I tried to lay out the elements and the labels and came to a conclusion that color combinations, typefaces combinations, and borders are the possible elements that lead to the infamous low quality and cheap looks. Even with these negative assumptions, I think they strongly represent Indonesian style through types, candy colors, and Kitski aesthetic. And Rahmat was also inspired by this, by the same elements of Indonesian vernacular visuals. His posters and illustrations are bursting with vibrant references to pop cultures. In conclusion, my exploration of these three practitioners, Tim Burton, Sidney, and Rahmat Jaka, has deeply influenced the development of my ideas for the global context module. Tim Burton's Gothic reinterpretation of Alice in Wonderland inspired me to embrace the power of personal storytelling. Because during the review on week 5, I was told that my archive was lacking a narrative, which is why, after searching about Tim Burton, it was helpful as I was pushed to find my personal style and apply it in my archive. Sid Mead's visionary design for Tron Legacy demonstrated how innovative visual can transport audiences to entirely new worlds. I was trying to do this while creating my archive because I wanted my audience to feel like they've been transported to the world of the movie like I did while looking through my archive. And finally, Rahmat Jaka's celebration of Indonesian vernacular graphics have helped me appreciate the culture significance of design aesthetics that often deem lowbrow or cheap. He also inspired me to adapt visual elements of vernacular graphics in my design for Project 2. Each practitioner showcases the impact of visual language in shaping perceptions and narratives, a lesson I've carried forward into my own projects. Therefore, thank you for joining me on this journey through their works and their impact on my creative process. Thank you.